Speaking of Renthal, our next guest brought to you by Renthal. He is switching. The team is switching to Renthal, and so Ken Roczen gets to stay on his bar of choice. Welcome to the show, Kenny. How are you, man?
What's up, man? I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it. Congrats on the new gig. So let me get this straight. Like, from what I know, you were obviously the Firepower guys. You got him a World Supercross title. You really liked Yariv. You loved the bike. I saw you in Paris. You were hauling ass. I was told by someone that would know that he probably thought you would have a 10% chance to sign with the HEP guys, but you were trying the bike. But it seems like, Kenny, you were just that impressed with the bike that's where you pivoted. Is that true? Just the bike, being back on Suzuki and being on their bike is what did it for you?
Yeah, like you said, it did something to me. I've been on that bike a lot, though it does feel a lot different than what I was on, for example, in 2016. Mm-hmm. But my main goal, like I've been with Honda for so many years, and I had complaints about the bike, and my main goal, like I said before, I love Yariv. I love the whole team. You know, I love working with them, and they did a really good job with the bike in the short period of time. But ultimately, that's what I told him too. It's like, man, I'm in this position, and my biggest goal was to kind of expand my horizon again a little bit and try something different and spark it up a little bit in my career. And I went up to Madeira, and like you said, I was pretty sold on going with Yariv. But at the same time, I wanted to give this a legit shot, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go up there and make pre-decisions on how this thing's going to be. I just wanted to go up there and ride it. And, yeah, I ended up going up there for a couple of days. I rode it, and I definitely had some brain work to do. And I ended up going with those guys, and I'm really stoked that I did. Every time I'm up there, we're tinkering around with some stuff. We haven't really done, like, a big test or anything, but they're actually coming here the end of this week, and I just hope that the weather is going to be okay because we're actually we're getting some rain here tomorrow in Florida. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and I was looking for something new, and I ended up going with it. I just had a good feeling about it. Yeah,
that's awesome. Now, one of my questions was, does the bike feel like it used to? You said it doesn't, but does the bike being it's pretty new since the last time you ridden it, but it's pretty the same also in many ways, different frame and stuff, but Does it? You're getting a late start on this. Does the fact that you rode Suzuki before help you maybe avoid some late start issues that you could be having?
So the bike I think it feels different than it did in 2016 by quite a bit, especially suspension-wise, because I was on KYB back then. I'm on Showa now. And I just think it feels different, but same at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it just felt familiar, right? I really like the size of the bike. Like the bike felt bigger to me than the Honda, and that's what I liked about it. And I'm excited to tinker with it a little bit more. We're still me and Chiz, we're trying to do some work to it still and try and tinker with stuff. But for the base that they gave me, I was really impressed with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm still riding literally that same spec, suspension-wise and everything.
Okay.
Hey, Ken, it's Michael Lindsay here. I was curious whether it's something that complements your riding or something that it does that maybe works in areas you're not as good in. What did you feel when you got on it that drew you to it? Like, you're riding around first couple laps, like what caught your attention immediately that kind of perked your interest in riding it?
I really like the balance of the bike, and I think the frame stiffness is well thought out. And I actually feel like for how, people were kind of talking down on how rigid it is. I can't really say that, my stuff right now is pretty stiff in the front, for example, but it still has a pretty damn good feel. Having said that, I think they've done a lot of work to it. And even before I came, Kyle, went to ride the bike, right? And to kind of like set it up a little bit and try it out as well. And, they did a bunch of work to it. And like I said, I thought it was really good. And I think I trust, granted, something can always happen, right? But I trust the frame and the rigidity and the stability and the stiffness and control it gives you. I just trust that a lot. It's very stable that way.
Interesting that you said it was a bigger bike, which it is, than the Honda. But you like that, even though you're not a taller guy. You just like the way that feels. Because the Honda's like a little mini bike, a little bit underneath you. You know?
Yeah, the chassis, like the Honda, it feels so short in the front. I always felt like the front is underneath me, like beneath my motor, kind of. Like I always felt like the front was really short, and I had a really hard time finding my balance. And I like my rear kind of tall or pretty level, anyways. And that just didn't complement that bike at all. And so that bike right now, the Suzuki, feels a lot different that way, which I like. It sticks in the turns better. It's not so busy.
Outside of the chassis, like when you ride the production RMZ 450, to me, the motor on it kind of has like more of an old school 4-stroke feel. It's very torquey, very luggy, a little bit more of a tractor feel, maybe not as free feeling. With your guy, the race package you're riding right now, like, is it feel more like everything else you've been riding, like what you've raced the last couple of years? Does it have a certain engine feel you like too? Does it is there anything there that you liked particularly?
There's still some things that we're actually tinkering around with. I agree with you that the motor, it has a little bit of a different feel, but it's hard for me to explain because I'm still like learning it in ways, right? Like every time I jump on the bike, like I kind of get excited because it's just still a fresh feeling to me, or a new feeling, right? I was on Honda for 6 years or something like that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of learning it that way too. But overall, I am so happy that I made this decision. And I think the motor is plenty strong. Like I said, we're still trying. It's hard, but me being in, I need those guys to be here, right? And they're coming too. Like every time we're in Madeira, whatever, we can do a lot of stuff. And they're coming now, so I can't wait for them to be here. Like you said earlier, Steve, everything was late, right? Like right now was mid-October or November even or whatever. Like there's so much stuff we can still do, I think, right? But I'm excited for them to come. Yeah,
that'll be great.
I know you did an interview with Jamie for us about this, but I was wondering if you could talk about it a little bit on here, like. Chiz said, the work that Chiz did on it, like, what was that conversation you had with him after you wrote it? It sounds like, you had quite a bit of positive to say about Chiz's input.
Yeah, so Chiz and I, when it comes to riding, I think we like our bikes pretty similar. No, I know so. So I think he's very, very good at feeling the bike and changing things and, how the motor affects the bike and chassis. Like, he's really, really spot on. So and I'm very into all of that stuff too. So I think we can relate to each other when we test stuff. And we feel like, even if it's the slightest thing, we feel the same thing. So I think our language, we just kind of speak the same language, right? So after he wrote, he gave me a little, because he was actually on the plane. He gave me a little bit of input and stuff, but he didn't fully dish it out either because he wanted me to feel it, of course, right? But yeah, I think he did a really good job setting it up, or whatever they gave me. I thought felt really well for just showing up. I didn't expect it. Let's put it that way.
That's really cool here, because I know even that Chiz had been riding the bike, there was like a little bit of talk if he was going to go, but it kind of seems like, because you were stoked and wanted to go there, and he works with you really well, it just seems like kind of a perfect opportunity for the two of you to both end up there and work together. And it sounds like both of you kind of are a reason why the other ended up there almost.
No, yeah, that's what it was, because we talked about that ahead of time, right? Like, it was kind of like, hey, this and that, and he said the same thing, like, oh, we're talking, like, it just was kind of like, we talked, of course, about all of this, so it ended up working out just like how we talked about. And I think when it comes to the testing side of things, it's so great because we share all our info, and he's really good with it. So I just think we are going to be able, over a period of time, to come up with some cool stuff, to try.
And Travis Sewells is your mechanic, I'm guessing? Sewells?
Yep. Oh, and actually, having him too is pretty cool, because he knows a lot from RCH days, and he actually gave me the whole rundown, right? Like, I looked at my bike. I guess I never have taken a close look at my championship bike here. He was just giving me the whole rundown of, like, dude, like, this is from factory Suzuki, and this is from factory, this, we made this, and they did all of this trick shit to the bike, right? And I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, I didn't even know all of, like, full on, like, just custom shit, right? And I'm like, that's so sick. I look at this bike way different now. So it's cool that he knows all of the stuff that we did at RCH. Granted, right now, like, I have nothing of that stuff on my bike, right? Like, it's not nowhere near the same bike. But I think in the future, I don't know, I'm just kind of excited what's in store. You know, I want to see what Suzuki says, and I don't know, maybe there's something cool cooking in the future. I don't know.
Right.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. Renthal, bringing you Ken Roczen on the show, the new Progressive Insurance Suzuki HEP rider. Yeah, in your mind, you can win races on this thing? 100%? You ready?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that bike can win 100%.
And I understand you have an option for World Supercross or Nationals. I understand.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah, that's so.
Yes.
See how you feel.
And I haven't made a decision.
Right.
I haven't, my thing was Supercross, motocross, like the whole deal, right? But I haven't really officially made a decision about anything yet because my goal was, hey, let's get this deal done first. Let's, after all this traveling, let's settle in a little bit and focus on what we're doing here and start racing. There was so much shit on my plate. Which I enjoyed that. Like, it was cool, but there was so much shit on my plate where I'm like, I can't even think about that. I'm going to start racing. Do this. I had a plan, right, to get the deal done and start racing and do all of this stuff before I get too far ahead, you know?
Right. Well, this is a different time for you. You had a lot of fun in the off season. You tried some different stuff. A little bit less pressure on you. You're going back to Suzuki. You're probably as much of an underdog maybe as you've ever been, Kenny, right? So it's kind of a neat position for you.
Yeah, I'm cruising right now, honestly. Like, Anaheim's coming up, and I just want to, my main goal is to field the team out, right? Like, this is going to be our first rodeo, which I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be fun figuring each other out. Of course, also putting the bike in racing situations for me personally. And I just think there's so much new and exciting stuff going to happen that I'm going to look at Anaheim and all these races from a different perspective, which is exactly what I needed. And I don't really want to put pressure on myself. If I win, great. If not, like, I just really want this to be a work in progress, and I want to be into it. I want to be into my riding and focus and kind of have fun with the situation and just rebuild, you know. And wherever I'm at, I will be fine with it, and then I'm going to work forward and try and get better each and every day I go out on the track and what, you know, and whatever it may be. Like, I might go into the first race and afterwards I'll be like, oh, I need to you know, work on this, or I need to do the bike better, or whatever it may be. I want to attack that and then see if we can get it better and just be into it.
So the other thing I was curious, from everybody you tested and tried out with and you looked at for deals, we were talking about this a little bit earlier on the show, was just kind of the HEP team building up the last couple of years, some of the staff they have now. I don't know if, you know, the general fan realizes some of the people they've hired. Dave Cruz used to be a show there forever. You got Larry Brooks over there now. So, like, you first go to Madera, show up at their shop, their track. Did they kind of roll out the red carpet in the sense of, like, you got to see all the people there working with it? Did it even catch you at all by surprise, or were you pretty aware of, like, some of the people they've hired? And like I said, compared to some of the teams you test with, it just seemed to me like they maybe had more staff or presence to kind of show you, hey, we're here to commit to you and do what we can.
Yeah, so obviously I knew some of the people there, right? Like, you see them around the pits and whatnot. But when I showed up, now it was super easy. I flew up there straight from, where did I come from?
Did you come from Spain?
No, it wasn't Australia. Oh, no, yeah, of course. I came after, like, Barcelona and Spain and Paris and all that. And it was super mellow, honestly. We got there at night, and, I met some of the guys, and I'm familiar with some of them already. And I obviously talked to a couple of people, and they said that it's a really good thing that Larry's there, too. And we just kind of went from there, like a no-pressure thing. We kind of just felt each other out. Like, this was all new to me, trying for different teams and different staff, right? Like, I'm usually with some people for 6 years or whatever. Like, I actually said that I don't really get to sign contract that often when you really think about it, because most of the time I'm with companies for quite a few years, right? So every time this time comes up, it's kind of a special feeling as well, right? Like, I just feel like you don't do it that often. So it was kind of new, and I was just immediately impressed with the bike. That was pretty much it. And then from there on out, we kind of felt each other out over these couple of days, right? And it was super mellow, low-key. We didn't do a whole lot of testing, whatever. I was just riding, having a good time. And I just think I rode the bike a lot because I wanted to, and we had so much fun on it. And that made my decision easier as well, because, you know, sometimes you ride it one day, and then you're like, oh, it's great. And you come back the next day, and you're like, oh, like, I don't remembered it being better than what it really was, right? So I came back the next day, and the bike felt the same to me. So that's where I was like, oh, okay, this thing's really good, because I was just as stoked on the second day as I was on the first day.
Is it special at all for you to not only come back to Suzuki, but come back at this time? Because like when you were with them in GPs, they were a top level program. When you rode for RCH, of course, it was the best of the best people. The HEP guys are trying to prove themselves. Suzuki's been kind of pushed off the side a little bit the last couple of years. Is it special at all for you to return to Suzuki, but also have the opportunity to kind of put them back on the map a little bit, where before when you've gone to them, they've already had that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing about it. Suzuki, it's just been a little bit quiet around that side of the pits, right? And it's a big motivation. And I think what makes it so cool, because I truly believe we can make some noise, with them and me riding the bike more and it getting better. And I really want to get after it and put them back on the top step or podium, and just get everything back in the mix and get the connection again to Suzuki and get everybody talking. I just want to rebuild that.
Absolutely. We got a phone call for you here from Nick. Nick, welcome to the show. What's your question for Ken Roczen?